So we get back underway with the business end of round 2 of the season. And first up, Micromax back out on circuit. And the grid is as follows. Following the victory in the pre-final, Max Siderski will start on pole position ahead of Mies Huben in the number 8 from the Netherlands. Alongside themselves in the second row will be Mats van Rooyen in the number 3. Ahead of the 31 of Jake Menton. Jente Moonen in the number 10, the sole Belgian in the field, will be taking up 5th in the order, whereas Boris Maximov, well, unfortunately, was not actually allowed to start and did not take part in qualifying, neither the pre-final a little bit earlier on. So it has been 2 wins to Mies Huben, 1 to Max Siderski this weekend. And is still very much on in terms of the championship, which will return here between the 21st and the 22nd of November for the 3rd and final round of our 13th season. 13 minutes now set on the timer once again, as we now have 5 more races, including this one, to complete the 20 that are taking place here at the home of champions, karting Genk in Belgium. And very quickly, the formation lap has been brought to a nigh-on standstill between Max Siderski and Mies Huben on the front row as they now go through into turn number 7. So we saw a great exchange between Mies Huben and Max Siderski all the way through the pre-final that kick-started the day's action here at the 1,360-metre circuit. 12 turns in all. And who knows, maybe one of these youngsters could be a motorsport racing star in the future. But for now, we see how they develop on their journeys within karting and moving towards the upper echelons of racing categories, both nationally and internationally. So again, it is Siderski this time starting on pole. Mies Huben alongside. Mats van Rooyen starts 3rd, and alongside we'll have Jake Menton, with Jente Moonen completing the starting order. They now exit the final corner. They start to split. They head into the tram lines. The accelerators are then pressed to the floor, and it is lights out once again, and we go racing as Jake Menton and also Mats van Rooyen manage to try and get their way past, but van Rooyen gets a great start. Menton went to the left-hand side of Mies Huben on the start phase, then van Rooyen went up the inside of the number 8 to take 2nd through turn number 2. They make their way to the back straight on the Europlan for the first time. So Siderski has started in the best way possible for this race to lead from pole position as they now head through turn number 8 for the first time. So Siderski now being hustled, not this time by Mies Huben, who is being challenged by Jake Menton at the moment for 3rd place, but it is the number 3 of Mats van Rooyen who completes the top 2. As we fast approach the completion of lap number 1, and van Rooyen has got a really good momentum behind Max Siderski, pulls to the right-hand side, looks towards the inside of the number 19 to take the lead through turn 1. Gets the move completed by the inside of turn number 2. So van Rooyen, after just 1 lap, has managed to get from 3rd to 1st place. But Siderski still keeping in touch with van Rooyen as he starts bump drafting the number 3 going down into turn 7. Huben not too far adrift. Between the top four, it was 0.845 seconds when they crossed the line to complete lap number 1. And on lap number 2, Swiderski still hanging with Van Rooyen, who now still is trying to break that run of any success of the 2 drivers behind, one of which has taken a victory in the form of Swiderski, and the other one, Mies Huben, who was taken to this weekend in the wet weather conditions yesterday. Lap number 2 in the books, and it is 70 thousandths between Van Rooyen and Swiderski. And between Huben and Jake Menton, it was just under 0.11 seconds between the pair, as Swiderski once again closes up, going through turn 5 and into 6. Same thing can be said for Jake Menton, keeping on the back bumper of Mies Huben. As now Menton looked towards the inside, pulled out to the right, but did not have the run of momentum or the slipstream assist through into the end of the back straight, so has to slot back into 4th position. Jens Immonen still rounds out the top 5, all 5 drivers circulating as the 2 leaders make their way through the exit of turn number 11. Swiderski still hot on the heels of Van Rooyen, who took the lead very early on in this race after the very first lap. As Swiderski does a bit more bump drafting on Van Rooyen as they now go into turns 1 and into 2. Both take pretty much the same sort of racing line through the corner, the same through turn 3, now into the left at 4. Up to turn 5 they go, through the left-hander, now into the right-hander at 6. And Swiderski once again closes on the back bumper of Van Rooyen down the Europalaan back straight, heading into turn number 7. So the last 2 laps, it was 70 thousandths on the completion of lap 2. On the completion of lap 3, it was 76 thousandths. As the leaders now come into turn 10, into 11, they come out of the penultimate corner and make their way down to the 12th and final turn. 8 minutes and 50 seconds, plus 1 additional lap still to go in this last race of the weekend for the Micromax drivers. And again, the gap round about 74 thousandths between first and second once again, as Swiderski keeping in the slipstream, making Van Rooyen do all the hard work. And as a result of that, Swiderski was 2 1/1000ths of a second quicker than the leader, and in the process, on lap 4, took the fastest lap of the race. Now the slipstream effect starts working, as Swiderski now retakes the lead on lap number 5 through turn 7 off of Mats Van Rooyen. And with the top 4 covered by just under 1.3 seconds, if Swiderski and Van Rooyen try to continue to battle, this will allow the 2 behind to close. And Mies Huben, slowest out of the top 4, a 1:03.167. That was a personal best for the number 8. So Huben again still running in the low 1:03.1s. And not quite on the pace that we saw earlier in the pre-final that saw Huben and Swiderski battle tooth and nail, mano a mano, towards the eventual victory, which was taken by Max Swiderski. So just under 6 minutes completed, just over 7 to go, plus an additional lap. The battles for first and third place still waging on, and there was a gap of just under 8.5 tenths of a second between Mats Van Rooyen and Mies Huben in the numbers 3 and 8 entries respectively. Jake Menton still there or thereabouts, trying to close up to Mies Huben for third place as they come round the final corner. Swiderski last time had over a 3/10 of a second advantage. It's now 4 tenths, as Menton was just under a 10.5 behind Mies Huben, and is still keeping with the number 8, who runs under the GKS Lemons Power stable, based here at the circuit. So the drivers make their way down the back straightaway once again. Very similar racing lines taken by the top 4 drivers as Jake Menton closes up to Mies Huben, going through turn 9, going into the braking zone, but then coming out of the corner. Mies Huben tends to have a little bit of good traction, which allows him to pull a gap ahead of Jake Menton, but it is not by much, by probably about a kart length and a half. So we're about to complete lap number 7, and Swiderski still leads, but Van Rooyen trying to chase the number 19 down and gets the gap down by nearly half to 0.216 seconds on that particular occasion. A lap time of 1 minute 3.329 from Swiderski, a 1 minute 3.137 for Mats Van Rooyen, who is still closing as they go through turn 5 into the right at 6 onto the Europalan back straightaway. And this time it's a good composed run by Van Rooyen, trying to close but not on this particular lap. And if Van Rooyen gets a better opportunity, I will think it's possibly going to be on the next lap around, which will be lap number 9 of this race, as we're currently on lap 8, as they're about 3 corners away from completing. Mies Huben, in the meantime, has tried to start breaking away from Jake Menton to try and look to catch the 2 in front. And Mies Huben does set a personal best, drops the gap between himself and Mats Van Rooyen to just 0.921 seconds. Jens Timmerman still circulating and is about 9.8 seconds off of the current leader of this race, which just so happens to be the pre-final winner for today, Max Swiderski. Van Rooyen, Huben, Menton and Moonen. That is the running order of the 5 drivers in Micromax that are competing here today. Unfortunately, with the non-start due to being allowed not to start in the form of Boaz Maximov in the number 30. A real shame for the youngster from the Netherlands. However, I'm sure that is for a very, very good reason indeed. So one of the 3 drivers that have withdrawn, unfortunately, for the second day of competition, with Tam Saleh in Minimax and also Clementine Benoit in Senior Rotax. As through turn 10 comes Jens Timmerman. Gap looks to be increasing between Swiderski and Van Rooyen, and the reason being is that Swiderski has just set a 1 minute 2.950 second lap time, and that was 0.136 seconds ahead of Van Rooyen. Now just keeping an eye on Mies Huben just behind, and Huben closed up by half a tenth on the last lap alone. And looks to be getting closer still, going through turn 7 off of the Europalan, as they now go through the right-hander at turn 8, into the left at 9. Two minutes and 40 seconds plus 1 additional lap still remaining in this Micromax final on day 2. And Max Swiderski looking to make it 2 wins apiece between himself and Mies Huben, who is closing and has closed the gap to just over half a second. Well, to make that 3/10, it was 0.56 the last time. It's now 0.32 between second and third, and it is closing rapidly. Mies Huben looks to have the wind in the sails once again and is moving forward towards the opposition. Down the back straightaway they go. Swiderski had a over his 6.5 tenth of a second lead over Mats Van Rooyen, who is now coming under pressure from Mies Huben. The battle for second now starting to heat up as we go into the last minute and 50 plus 1 lap. Through into the right into the left at 9. Down the short blast, the right-hand sweeper at 10. So Swiderski looks to be getting away and doing just enough to make sure that gap is extending. And it has gone up to 0.843 seconds as Mies Huben now gets past the number 3 of Mats van Rooyen, with around 1:20 still to go on the inside of turn number 2. But the number 3, also from the Netherlands, starting to pressurise the number 8. And on that particular occasion, Mats van Rooyen was not able to take any opportunity of any gap that might have presented itself. Going down the back straightaway and into turn number 7 as they now come down from turn 9 into the right at 10 once again. So when we go on to the next lap, which will be lap number 13, we'll have another one to go after this. As Van Rooyen now closing once again on Mies Huben. So looking to do the very best to get past the number 8 to take a second place victory. Mats van Rooyen has been the bridesmaid, never the bride, in this season so far, but has kept things a little bit consistent. 2 third place finishes yesterday, 1 today, and also another one on the cards. So that is a great haul of points of 64 in total over the course of the weekend. So the last lap board being prepared for one final time for Micromax. As now Max Swiderski exits turn 11, through into the right-hander of turn 12 for the penultimate time in this race and also for their race weekend. So Swiderski has just over 1,300 metres to go. Van Rooyen closing on Huben, who goes defensive into turn 1, and then Van Rooyen looked at the gap that was quickly being closed by the number 8 going into turn 2. But Huben stays ahead for the minute. So we come to the last handful of corners in this race for Micromax. The day 2 finale. Now the top 3, not that far apart. They were just over 0.8 of a second from Swiderski down to Van Rooyen on the last lap. But through turn 11 comes the number 19 of Max Swiderski. The checkered flag now being brandished. And it does wave. It's the double for Max Swiderski on day 2. Huben outdrags Van Rooyen to the flag, and they were covered by just 63 thousandths of a second in terms of the margin between second and third. Jake Menton takes fourth, 4.838 seconds behind eventual winner Swiderski. And good to see Jente Moonen make it to the end of a race weekend, 18.2 seconds behind Swiderski, down in 5th. But Swiderski does exactly what Huben did yesterday. 2 victories, 1 in the pre-final and the final, ahead of Mies Huben. Van Rooyen takes 3rd, Menton takes 4th, with Moonen taking 5th. And that concludes the Micromax action here for round 2 of BNL Karting Series 2020.